Most people over 60 are making the same quiet mistake. They walk every day, faithfully, 30 minutes or more. They count their steps, they track their distance, and they genuinely believe they are doing everything their body needs. But there is a specific, measurable, biological failure quietly happening inside their body while they walk. And it is happening because walking, for all its genuine benefits, does not address the two most critical physical mechanisms that determine whether a person over 60 remains strong, upright, and independent for the decades ahead. Princess Alexandra, now in her late 80s and still one of the most physically active senior members of the British royal family, does not rely on walking as her primary physical maintenance strategy. The physicians and specialists who have quietly supported her health and physical function across 9 decades understood something that most general practitioners and mainstream fitness advisors have never communicated clearly to the millions of people over 60 who deserve to hear it. After 60, the body does not primarily need more steps. It needs 2 specific biological signals that only targeted movement can provide: a signal to maintain and rebuild lean muscle mass, and a signal to preserve the neurological balance architecture that keeps the body upright when real life demands it. Walking produces neither signal with any reliability. The 2 exercises I am about to show you produce both, in 15 minutes, at home, with no equipment, and with a level of scientific validation that every specialist who understands aging biology consistently endorses. Stay with me, because understanding why these 2 movements work, where walking fails, will permanently change how you approach the most important physical investment of your life. Let me give you the science first, because without it, the exercises are just movements. With it, they become a protocol. After 60, the human body loses between 3 and 8% of its skeletal muscle mass every decade in a process called sarcopenia. This is not a disease. It is a biological default that occurs in the absence of sufficient mechanical stimulus to signal the body that its muscle tissue is still needed. Walking does not provide that stimulus. The ground reaction forces generated by walking are simply too low to trigger meaningful muscle protein synthesis in the aging body. A 2022 study in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle confirmed that aerobic walking alone produced no statistically significant increase in muscle cross-sectional area or strength in adults over 60 over a 16-week intervention period. The muscle requires a different category of signal entirely, a signal of resistance, a signal of load, a signal that says to the biological system, this tissue is essential, rebuild it, maintain it, make it stronger. The first of the 2 exercises I am going to show you sends exactly that signal to the largest and most functionally critical muscle groups in the body, and it requires nothing more than a chair and your own body weight. But before we get there, I need to tell you about the second biological gap that walking fails to address, because it is the one that kills independence. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65. 1 in 4 people over 65 falls every single year, and the primary cause of those falls is not muscle weakness, it is proprioceptive decline. The gradual degradation of the neurological communication system between the feet, the inner ear, and the brain that allows the body to detect where it is in space and make the micro-corrections that keep it upright when the ground is uneven, when someone bumps into you, when you reach for something unexpectedly. Walking does not challenge this system because walking is bilateral, predictable, and performed on flat surfaces. Real life is none of those things. The second exercise I am going to show you forces your proprioceptive system to work, adapt, and strengthen in exactly the way that prevents falls. And it takes 3 minutes per day. That is it. 3 minutes. Let us begin. The first exercise is the slow tempo sit to stand. Sit on the edge of a firm chair with your feet hip-width apart and flat on the floor. Cross your arms over your chest so that your hands cannot assist the movement. Lean your torso very slightly forward until you feel your weight shift toward your feet and your heels press firmly into the floor. Now rise to a full standing position, but here is the critical distinction from a standard sit to stand. You are going to take 5 full seconds to rise. Count slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, standing. At the top, stand tall with your hips fully extended and your glutes firmly squeezed for 2 full seconds. Then begin the descent, and this is where the most powerful adaptation occurs. Lower yourself back to the seated position, taking a full 5 seconds on the way down. 5 slow seconds of controlled eccentric loading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, seated. Do not drop into the chair. Do not rush. The 5-second descent is not optional. It is the mechanism. 8 repetitions per set, 2 sets, twice per week. If you cannot yet perform this movement without your hands, rest your fingertips very lightly on the chair arms for balance guidance only, with the goal of removing that support progressively over 2 to 3 weeks. Now let me tell you what is actually happening inside your body during those slow 5-second repetitions. The slow tempo forces your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, and your hip stabilizers to produce force under sustained time, under tension, which is the primary stimulus for muscle protein synthesis in older adults. A 2021 meta-analysis in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that slow-tempo resistance training produced significantly greater muscle hypertrophy and strength gains in adults over 60 compared to standard tempo training at equivalent loads. The slow descent, the eccentric phase, is where type 2 muscle fibers, the fibers most responsible for power, balance recovery, and fall prevention, receive their most potent growth signal. Every single slow descent is depositing directly into the physical account that keeps you independent. The second exercise is the progressive single-leg balance stand. Stand beside a wall or a sturdy chair with one hand resting very lightly on the surface. The contact is for security only, not for support. Your fingertips should barely be touching. Shift all of your body weight onto your right foot. Lift your left foot approximately 2 to 3 inches off the floor. Keep your standing knee very slightly bent, never locked. Fix your gaze on a stationary point on the wall directly in front of you at eye level. A specific point, a mark on the wall, a fixed object, not a moving target. Hold this position for 30 seconds while breathing normally. Every wobble, every micro correction your body makes during those 30 seconds is your nervous system actively recalibrating the proprioceptive pathways that prevent falls. Switch feet and repeat. 3 repetitions per foot, every single day without exception. Now, as this becomes easier over the first 2 to 3 weeks, you will progress through the following stages. Week 1 and 2, 30 seconds with fingertip support as described above. Week 3 and 4, 30 seconds with arms crossed over your chest, no surface contact but remaining beside the wall for security. Week 5 and 6, 30 seconds with arms crossed, eyes closed for 10 of those seconds, then open for 20. The closed eye component removes the visual balance input and forces your vestibular system and your proprioceptive system to carry the full balance load without visual compensation. This is the most powerful fall prevention stimulus you can apply to your nervous system after 60. A 2023 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that progressive single-leg balance training performed daily for 12 weeks reduced fall incidence in community-dwelling adults over 65 by 47% compared to a control group who maintained their normal walking routines. 47%, from 3 minutes per day of standing on one leg. If there is a more time-efficient investment in your long-term independence available to any person over 60, the research has not yet found it. These 2 exercises are not a fitness program. They are a biological maintenance protocol for the 2 systems that determine whether you remain independent, mobile, and physically capable for the rest of your life. The slow-tempo sit-to-stand sends the resistance signal that preserves and rebuilds the skeletal muscle your body will silently discard if you only walk. The progressive single-leg balance stand recalibrates the neurological architecture that catches you when real life loses its predictability. Together, they take 15 minutes, twice per week for the sit-to-stand, and 3 minutes every single day for the balance stand. That is the entire investment. The physicians who have supported the physical function of one of the longest-lived active members of the world's most scrutinized royal family did not build complex programs. They built precise ones, targeted to the exact biological mechanisms of aging, delivered through movements simple enough to perform anywhere, effective enough to change the trajectory of physical independence across decades. Princess Alexandra at 87 does not move like someone who only walked. She moves like someone whose body received the right signals. Your body is capable of receiving those exact same signals. Starting today. Not when you feel ready. Not when you finish this video and think about it. Now, stand up. Find a chair. Do one set of 8 slow sit-to-stands. Then stand beside the wall and balance on one foot for 30 seconds each side. That is your beginning. That is the signal, and your body will respond to it every single time. If this gave you real clarity on something that has been confusing or frustrating, hit the like button so that more people over 60 can find this information. Subscribe to this channel because every week we go deeper into the science and strategy of maintaining genuine strength and independence as we age. And share this with one person over 60 in your life who is walking faithfully and still wondering why their body keeps falling behind. 2 exercises, 15 minutes, the rest of your independent life. Start today.